Welcome back. Okay, we're gonna get editing profile working in this, at least, the bare bones of it, and more to come maybe in the future, but we'll see how far we get in this video. All right, so first of all, let's go to our profile, this right here, and let's actually, let's have an edit profile button here, similar to how it is on Instagram. So I want to go to the profile component itself. And we're going to do something just after all of this. Let's actually just add maybe a sized box here of 16. And let's have an elevated button, because that's what we're pretty much using at least right now until we start really theming this thing. And let's have something that says edit profile. Edit profile, cool. That looks all right to me. I mean, it looks fine. It will function. Now, the problem is, say I was looking at someone else's profile. Now, this is mine, so we would need to create one with another user or log out. We don't want this button to show up for, when I'm looking at someone else's profile. So two options. One, we could force it so that in this screen, we kind of pass a variable in that it's like me equals true or whatever. But I kind of think the best way is actually to dynamically understand it at the point of the profile component. So let's do something like final is me. And let's make this a bool is me for now. And we'll just do false by default. And then we're going to do something. I'm just going to open up our bookmark button again because it's kind of similar. We're going to look at our auth state provider. We'll watch it. And we can check if auth state is auth state success, meaning the person is logged in. We can go, and this, let's see, this will be, yep. So we can use is me is going to actually be equal to authstate.user.id is equal to the user.id that we're passing in. Now, we also, this will, because these could both be null, we should also check to make sure if authstate.user.id does not equal null and user.id does not equal. Again, I don't think that will ever be the case, but we're just playing it safe. Cool. Now we got is me. And then we can actually wrap this in this. So we can say if is me, then we'll actually have that button that says edit profile. And that's all working fine. Let's just test by logging out though. Wait, how do we log out again? Did I get I think, let's go to our user routes. I think we might have messed something up in here. What is settings route? Because yeah, so what's happening here is this /settings is actually still mapping to this because it's kind of, it's thinking there's a username with the word settings. So we actually want to put this one first. Now, a to-do we should probably think about is we need to restrict. If someone was to make their username settings, we would have a problem here. And this is actually a problem I had in production once. Funny story. We originally were using in an app and a web app. We were using UUIDs as kind of the endpoint for just for users. So it'd be like /user/ this really long string, and that would be how to get to your profile, and that worked fine and dandy. But we wanted to change it to the username like we're doing here, just to make the URLs look a bit nicer and better for sharing. And so we implemented something to do that. And on the API side, eventually someone made their username me. And we already had an endpoint for getting your data, which would be /user/me. And essentially what would happen is when you were looking at your own profile, it would always be calling, it would get this one user who was named me. And everyone in our app, from their point of view, was this one user. For a short amount of time, we fixed it server side because an app update wouldn't have sufficed. And that was just, fun side story. That happened. So we're just gonna put this first. But yeah, my side note is we should probably have some kind of validation especially on the server side, to make sure someone can't make their name settings, because that will definitely screw up our app. Okay, so let's go. Now I should be able to go here and we get settings. Let's see if we can figure out how to do that first of all, we could do in our username available, we can do something, and maybe we'll have a constant for this at some point, but let's say if, and I'm just going to make an array like this, dot contains username, we're going to return false. So let's actually do some things in here. Let's just put settings for now. So that'll just make sure that that username can't be at least used in this sort of like check that we're doing. Now, in terms of actually signing up, that's a good question how we can do that. We because like that we're kind of relying on Serverpod's auth to handle the sign up. I wonder if there is like a way in server.dart. Is there a way to like restrict certain usernames? Let's just look at auth config. Is there like a username validator? User can edit username. User can see full username. That's interesting. Okay, I'm just gonna put a to do here. To do. Can we restrict certain usernames, i.e. settings? Another thing we could do is we could make a user called settings, and then at least no one else can make it. That's one possibility. This would be easy to do on the front end. We could obviously just be like, if user is settings, like do this thing, but you never want to rely on your front end for anything security wise. So we'll just have that as a to-do for now, just something to think about. Okay, so let's try actually logging out now. And let's go back to profile. You're not logged in. Let's look at a user profile. We should still be able to look at this person. And now, we don't have that edit button, which is exactly what we wanted. But let's log back in because we do need this. And look, it just instantly changed. That's really nice. That's something I love about, the way we're doing our state management. It just kind of works. Okay, cool. So we have our edit profile button, which doesn't do anything, but let's make it do something. So let's go to our, ultimately this is probably going to be the same as our settings screen. So I think we can just, at least for now, push to that screen. So we can just do context.push to settings screen.route. Edit profile, we're going like here. Yeah, that's good. Let's go to our settings screen now, and let's actually just say this. Let's call this like edit profile. Eventually, we might have like a difference between our settings, and like settings might be stuff for push notifications and whatever, and profile is slightly different. Is that? Let me just. I'm just gonna pull up my phone and look at Instagram, and just really quickly see. So where do they even have a setting? Settings is like totally separate. Yeah, settings activity. You know what? Let's do this a little bit differently. I'm going to actually duplicate this file to inside user screens, and we'll have let's actually have an edit profile screen.dart. Paste all that in, and we'll just rename it to edit profile. And here we'll do /settings/profile. Because we might still want a settings screen. And then we can make this say edit profile. And yeah, we already had this thing for login. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's close our settings screen. Let's go here, and we're going to use our edit profile screen. And we will have to put this in here. I'll do it right here, and we'll use edit profile screen.route and obviously show the edit profile screen. Okay, usually at least with Go Router, we need to do a rebuild for those to get noticed. And now if we go to profile, edit profile, we see edit profile. Edit profile. Okay, so for this, and I was like reviewing the Instagram app ahead of time, edit profile. They kind of do it, it's, we could just do this as a form, but they kind of do something, and I know I'm not showing this right now, where it's like you see all this stuff about your profile and you click it to actually do it. And I think that's kind of a nice thing to do. And I think following something like Instagram, there's reasons they're doing it this way. So first of all, yeah, we can still have, we should still have this to make sure they are logged in case they try and come to this URL just on their own. But then after that, we're actually going to return something. We're going to call it, we're going to make it. So this will be a component, components, new file called edit profile component.dart. And we'll make this a stateless consumer, edit profile component, consumer widget, build context from material, and pull this over here. And we're going to return this. All right. And let's get access to the user. Is going to be going ref.watch, our auth provider. And similarly, although this really isn't necessary, because I don't think there'll be a way to get here, because we would already do this here, but just to be safe, we're just going to kind of do something at the start, like if user, oh, how do we do this? What could this be? That's our auth state. Let me actually just remember. What we'll do, we're going to go, if it is, we're going to check if it's auth state success. So we're going to check this, and then we know that we have the user, and we'll return whatever, and then here we would just return a size box, and I think I'm forgetting one closing thing. There we go. Maybe we could have this as more of an error message. You are not, you are not logged in. Now this, again, is something we should never get to because we are already kind of doing this check here, but I'm just kind of doing it for almost for like self-documenting like what this means. As well, if we end up refactoring something and having this be there, at least we'll have a message here. So let's also put this in the center, but I don't think this will ever be seen. So now we know we have a user right here, and here we can actually, you know, sort of do this stuff. Another option, actually, now that I think about it, we could also just pass the user in. And to make things easier, actually, let's also pass in the user info, which apparently we can't get. Let's see if I can. Okay, let's just find an instance of this. I just want to find, here we go, user info. Let's import the client. I think that's where this is. No, it's not. Where does user info come from again? Right, it's because it comes from this protocol thing. I think the auth client will give us it. There we go. So I'm going to make this actually be, both of these be required as non-nullable things. .user required this .user info. This is just going to make our life a lot easier. So we don't need any of this now because we are going to have that stuff. Now, in order to pass this in, we would obviously pass user by using, we're going to use our, this is where we actually need, I'm going to do, you know what? We're going to do this kind of how we were about to do it on the screen instead. So we're going to check if it is auth state success. Then we know we have a user because we can use our auth. Let's actually make a variable, final user equals, and I'm just I'm also going to cast this to something. So we'll call it auth state is equal to this. That way we're not watching twice. No need to do that. So we can go like this, and we can do this. Auth state.user is the user. Then final user info is going to be equal to auth state.user, or we can actually use user in this case, user.user info. And we should just check if user info equals null. Let's just return kind of like a text saying, you know, an error occurred. This shouldn't ever be the case because we are sending back the user info as part of the user object, but there we go. So now we can use user, and now we use user info. There we go. Save everything, and yeah, we just need to return something here so that it doesn't complain. And we can get rid of some stuff we don't need, and we should be good. Okay, so now the good thing is now we know these aren't null at the point of this, so we don't have to do all these checks where it's like if the user info is null, I don't want to do that. So let's use a list view here. instead of a column with a single child scroll view. It's a little bit more performant. For our children, we are going to, so on Instagram, I know probably hard to see, but there's like kind of like your name and username and we could just use, we could use a list tile. And we could do things like, use the title as whatever, and the subtitle, oops, comma. The subtitle can be the actual label. So let's try that to start. So this would be name. And here we would use, that's part of the user info, userinfo.name, full name. But technically the full name can be null. So let's just fall back to an empty string in this case. So now we have this cool thing, name, and I guess my full name is null. Okay, cool. Name. Let's just make sure that it is actually working. Yeah. Name. So maybe we can just actually put a hyphen or something if you don't have a name. That's all fine. And then the way they do it is you can tap, the thing to go to a screen, which we will, make happen in a minute. Let's just do something for username. Username should never be null, although technically it can be, but just because of the way the model's set up, because it's not really our own model, which, it's fine. But there we have, our username, and everything's good. Okay, that's fine. What else do we need? We're going to have our bio. So let's have another list tile for bio. And this is where, I wonder if, can I make this leading instead? Username. See, I don't love that either. I like how they all get lined up the same on this screen in some cases. So maybe we can do this a little bit differently. Okay, let's instead use a row. We're going to have children. We're going to have a sized box as the first one. We're going to give it a width. Let's just try 100, child, text, and here we would have name. Then after this, we will have an expanded just to take up the rest of the space. And its child will actually be basically what we did here. And we'll probably want just a little sized box here, or we could use padding in this case. Doesn't totally matter, just to kind of give it. And we want this, now that we have that, we need the row itself. Do we want to have the padding on that? Or do we want to maybe we put the whole list view in padding, but just horizontal padding. 16. Okay, cool. I think this is pretty good. We could probably also make this 80. All right. So I'm getting rid of those. Actually, I'll keep this one for now. I'll get rid of that. I'm going to comment this out just so I remember what we did there. But there we go, name, and then the person's name would be there. And we want probably the whole row itself. Maybe we'll do the padding on this instead. Maybe we'll do symmetric still. We'll do vertical of 4 and horizontal of whatever we did here, 16. Don't forget the comma. And now we can get rid of this padding. Now, what I want to do is actually essentially extract this widget. Now, what I'm going to do temporarily is, because I'm referencing this here, when I extract the widget, it's going to pull the user info through, which I don't really want. So, sorry, let's just actually make it say this for now. And we're going to extract actually everything from the padding. And this is a widget we're only going to use on this component. So we can use an underscore, make it private essentially. And we'll just call it a setting row, maybe. And for this, what I want to pass in are 3 things. Final, string, we want the label. This is kind of like what we did a few videos ago for the profile page. The value, and the final, we want to use we're going to have a void callback, I think. Void callback on tapped. And we want to make all those required, so we can actually click this and quick fix and add required fields. And that'll just make everything nice. So now in here, instead, we are going to make the title or sorry, the label is going to be name. The value is going to be basically what we had here. I'll grab that. And on tapped, actually, let's make this say on pressed. Something, something. Okay, cool. So we now have that, and then we have to remember to obviously change these. We want to be using the label for this and the value for this. Then we can wrap this whole thing. Maybe we just, yeah, I guess the whole padding. Actually, you know what's a cool way to do this? We're going to wrap this in an inkwell, or maybe just a gesture detector. And this is where we'll pass our on tap through. So we'll just use the on pressed. And then what we can actually do is add padding here. And we'll kind of half these. So we'll use 2 and 8 here, and basically do the same thing right here. So it's like going to be like, there's going to be padding around this before you can tap, but then there'll be some padding where you can't tap. So it's, you don't accidentally tap the wrong one as easily, if that makes sense. Okay, so now we have that name, and we should be good. We still have to do the on tap, but that's fine. Let's do the same for username. And in this case, we will use username. We should see, there's my username. And what's cool about doing this now is we can play with the styles all day in one spot, right? So we might also have pronouns. That's something we're going to add depending on how long this video is. We might add this in this video, but we'll just put this as a to-do. And then we're going to have the bio. So let's have our bio. Value is going to be our user.bio. There we go. And let's make, I'm just looking at the Instagram thing. On our row here, let's actually make the cross-axis alignment dot start, so that this actually lines up with the top. So you'll see now it's like this. Also, I think these could be spaced out more. So let's actually make maybe these 8 and 8. Is that going to be too much? That's too much. Let's do 4 and 4, which will basically be 8 altogether on both sides. Get added. That feels nicer to me. Okay, cool. What else do we have? Probably the profile image. So we can do that on Instagram. It's kind of like something just at the top, which we could, of course, do. So let's just do it that way. So we have all the settings rows here, but here we can actually have the user avatar component, and we can use the pass the user in there, and let's just see what that looks like. Wow. Right, it's because it's a list view. So we actually want this to be wrapped in a, we could wrap this in a row. That's one fix here, because then it'll go like that. And we can actually do our row main axis alignment dot center, because we may end up putting other things on here. And then for the size, we're going to essentially have a, I think in this case, like something like 64 might look good. Cool. Now, while we're here, let's also allow, we have this interactive flag, but let's also allow a final, and this will be a void callback as well. And we'll call it on pressed override, because normally it will by default sort of do the on pressed. And we'll make that this dot on pressed override. And actually we want this to be null. We don't want this to be passed in. And we can ignore interactive if this gets passed in, because that's just makes sense. So what we can actually do is go on pressed override and then fall back. Conditions must have static type bool. Let me just see. Wait, how do I do this? On tapped. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying. Interactive. Oh, I know. On-pressed override does not equal null. Then we call the on-pressed override. Otherwise, we go back to this. Oops, we forgot. What the heck? Oh, because it's void. Wait, what is the on tap? That's strange. Can this just be a function maybe? Okay, that solves it. We actually have to say it's, you know, a function with 0 parameters, I guess. Okay, and I think then we can actually do what I wanted to do. Let's just see. On pressed override. No, we can't that easily. Okay, that works. So basically we can now in our avatar actually, do something. And in the case of this, on pressed override, this is where we would let them edit their profile picture. So let's just print to do edit. And let's just see if that even works. Click it to do edit. Oh, wait, is that working? On pressed override, let's, doesn't seem like it like worked, but then it didn't. Do we have some weird problem right now? Okay, let's just try this again. Edit profile. Wait, what? Is it like being, oh, duh. It's actually just being executed. I had the actual execution there. We just want to pass it through. We don't want to actually execute it. Silly. And that's why that was happening. Okay, so let's try editing our profile again. Edit profile, click this, and we see to do edit. So that'll allow us to change the profile picture. And that should be fine. How are we for time? Okay, not too bad, not too bad. So we have name, username, pronoun, bio. We might eventually allow you to put like a link. In fact, let's just do that now. Instagram does it. I'm just looking where you can just add multiple links. I think we can just keep it simple and you can just have one. Although like we want people to have, their Instagram link, multiple, they may want multiple things. Maybe we will do it with links. So let's just call it links. And the value is just going to be a dash for now, and we'll figure that out later because we don't have that. Links, cool. And that's cool. Now let's try and get one of these to work. What we'll do is we'll make bio work because that's one that we have full control over end to end. And then we'll come back to the ones that are more Serverpod related, and then we'll do the new things, pronouns and links. I think that's our plan. So on Instagram, at least, when you click bio, it doesn't let you edit it right in the spot. It brings you to a new page. That's something we could do. Another thing we could do is show like a modal that comes up to let you change it. I think that's going to be easier. And I think we already have, do we have dialogues yet in this project? Ooh, modals. We don't. Okay. One sec. All right, we are going to create a helper class / function to deal with dialogues. Because writing out, basically this is like, when you're showing an alert and you want to get data back, doing it as like a one-off thing in multiple places is really annoying. So we're going to create something that's going to come in handy for us. So we're actually going to make a new file called dialogutils.dart. And we're eventually going to make a few different dialogues, but let's make what I will call the prompt dialog first. So we're just going to make something called prompt dialog. And it's going to have a static class. This is really just us to have a nice namespace. The class itself is never going to be like have instances of itself or anything. It's just going to be this sort of like helper class like we're doing elsewhere. And because it's a prompt, it means it's going to be asking for a string of some sort. So it's going to return a future of type string, but the string could technically be null if they don't do anything. And we're just going to call this show. And there's going to be some options we're going to put in here. First of all, we will require a title when a prompt comes up. Again, this is like going to be one of those little dialogues. I guess maybe what I can do is just to make this make more sense, let's actually show how we would do it as a one-off. I think we're going to do it for bio. So it'd be something like, we'd be showing show dialog. Show dialog. And then here we have a lovely builder, which has context. And here we'd be returning an alert modal or alert dialog. And it would have a title of text called like test, whatever. And it's going to have some, what else they got? Some buttons or actions. Is that what it is? Actions. And we'd have like a elevated button that does stuff. This is kind of what I'm getting at, that we're going to build something reusable for this. Because so we have the on tap for bio. Let's see. It's basically something that's going to be reusable, that we can have these and capture a response. So let's actually make that happen. So we want a title. for sure. We can also have a validator here, and I'm just going to kind of go do this quicker than to typing out. This is going to be an optional field we can put in. Basically, like in how we're doing forms, we can have some kind of validation that the dialog will take care of, like, oh, it can only be a number, or it needs to be a valid email address, that kind of thing. We also want to have, and I'll put this one here, label text. So this is like the text that the form field itself will have, because there's going to be a form field. We're also going to have a Boolean called obscure text. And this could be like, say we're asking for password confirmation or something. By default, we'll have it as false. And we're going to allow a cancel text and confirm text to be passed in optionally, because we'll have like a default. So we'll have that. We're also, because we might want to populate with an initial value, we're going to have a field to allow that. By default, it'll just be an empty string. I want to know whether this is like a destructive action, so we can display the button as like a red scary button as opposed to just a normal one. We also are going to have a few more options here. Read only. This is a case where maybe we want to show something in a text field, but not actually make it something you edit. We also are going to have an ability to have a copy button, which is nice, and whether it's multi-line or not. Finally, we're going to have a function that we pass in, again, optionally, called onValidSubmission that we may want to make use of. Actually, no, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Okay, so that's like the shape of this thing. And basically what I'm getting at is we would do something, it will be asynchronous. And we'll have something like called bio, or we'll call it like new bio, or maybe updated bio. Updated bio equals await. We'll use our prompt dialog dot show. And here we would pass in different things, right? We'd say, bio. Oh, what happened there? I think my keyboard just died. 1 second. All right, we're back. So the title for this would be like bio, and then the label text is actually going to be the same as the title in this case, bio. Or it could say like, let's make the title update bio, and then just bio for the label text. And what are our other parameters here? We don't care about, we don't really care about a validator. Like we're going to allow an empty bio, like you might just want to be removing your bio. We're not going to obscure the text. Confirm and cancel, we'll probably just keep defaults. Initial value, we definitely want to get that. So here we would actually use the user.bio as that initial text. Destructive, no. Read only, no. Multi-line, yes, for a bio, I feel like makes sense. Okay. So let's do that. And then this is obviously just like, we haven't done any code yet. This is just the options that we're going to allow for this. But let's now do this. So here we're actually going to return the await of a show dialog. Is that how I want to do it? I think so. And lastly, actually, I want to require one more thing, and I'm actually going to make this a named parameter, an ordered parameter. We're just going to have the context also passed in so that we can make use of that, because we're going to need that. Okay, so we're going to make this function async, and we are going to show the dialog. I'm actually going to make something called, how do I want to do this? Yeah. We're going to call it value, and it's going to await show dialog. Now our show dialog needs context, and that's why we have context here. And then it needs a builder, which will give us access to context within the builder. And here we're going to return an alert dialog. And right here, I'm just going to paste a couple things in, because again, typing this is tedious, just to kind of make the shape a bit better. So this will give it like a circular radius of just 6 instead of, in material 3, it got, I feel like, a little bit crazy. What is that? Oh, we also need to now pass context in. So context. Maybe I should make that a name parameter, actually. Just so that autocomplete doesn't try and screw with us. So we'll pass context in. Okay, so we have our alert dialog. It's going to have a certain shape. Then we can give our alert dialog a title. And here we just take the title that we passed in. Then for content, we're actually going to have a form. Okay, because we're going to want to do some validation due to this validator. And in order to work with our form, we do need a form key. So we're actually going to create both a form key, just right into this function, kind of like temporarily, as well as a controller that we'll get access to in this function where we pass that initial value in. Okay, now within our form, we need to obviously use that form key. That's why we did it. And then for its body, is it body? Child, sorry. We're going to have a column. And we'll make its main axis size size.bin. And that should be fine. Then it's children. Here we're going to have a lovely text field, text form field. So this guy right here, we're using that controller. We're passing through the obscure text, just like we had here. Autofocus, we're going to make it autofocus because when this pops up, we don't want someone to have to tap and then start typing. They can just start typing right away. Read only we go through. Min lines and max lines will be 1 unless we have multi-line. Otherwise, it's 3. So it kind of makes it like a bigger box. We're giving it just some decoration using that label text that we passed through and just some stuff to make the borders look a bit better. And then we actually pass through the validator, which can be null, which conforms exactly what we did here. And then what we can also do, just for future proofing this, is after, where is it? Right here. Actually, we're not going to worry about copying. I don't think there's going to be a need for that in this app, so we'll just get rid of that. Okay, so now we have that, and then we need our actions. Okay, so column, form, then we need our actions. So our actions, we're going to have let's just have maybe a text button for canceling. And this, we're going to have text, and we're going to use the cancel string. If not, fall back to the word cancel. And on pressed, what's going to happen is we're just going to navigator.ofContext.pop with null. This is not really required. It will be null by default, but I like to do this when we have another text button, for example, that doesn't do that. And we'll come back to that. But this one will be the confirm text. And if not, we'll fall back to what would be confirm, okay, done. What is a good, what is it? Submit, I guess, is probably the best word for this. Okay, and now in here, so canceling just, we just get out of there, cool. For this, we want to now validate our form key. So we're going to take the current state and we're going to validate, and we're going to return if it's not valid, okay? And that will automatically show, the error message underneath that form label. Then let's just get access to the value, and we can get that by going, final value equals controller dot value dot text. Get it to a string, just like there. And what we want to now do is, instead of popping that, so value is a string, and we just want to basically, pop this back. There we go, string. And like I said, we're going to allow empty, so that's fine. Then we should, now we'll come back to that. Okay, so now we have this value. This is technically dynamic. So what I actually want to return from here, from this function after it awaits, is we'll do if the value does not equal null, we're just going to go value.toString, just to make sure it is a string at the end of the day. Otherwise, we're going to return null. And it's giving us this little help here. We can go quick fix and use this instead. So this will just return literally null, or it will do string. If we just did toString on value and it was null already, which we could do, the word null would come back. We don't want that, because then your thing would say null. Okay, all that being said, I think we have a dialog util now. Let's save everything. And so now updated bio, let's actually print this out. Updated bio. So here we have this, and there's already stuff in it, and we can go like this, and we can go submit. And now we should see this with the whatever sort of stuff I made there. Now if I do this again and click cancel, we just get null back. So we're printing out not the word null, but literally like none, null. So we wouldn't act on that. We know that this is a string, because we're saying it is here, and right here we are actually returning. So what's cool about this is we're awaiting a dialog. So this will just hang out and wait and won't be populated until we actually do this navigator of context. And that's when that value is actually getting stored in here, and then we're returning it from this function. So pretty easy to work with. Okay, cool. So now we can do something where if updated bio does not equal null, then we actually want to update their bio. How do we do that? That's a great question. Let's go to our, do we have a user service thing? We have retrieve, we have me. Yeah, let's figure out how we want to update our bio. Yeah, this video is getting a little bit long, but I think we'll be okay. So our user endpoint, we have stuff for this. We don't really have anything to update the bio yet. So we could do this in a couple ways. We could have something where we allow sending up multiple things about the user, or we could actually have just an endpoint for updating the bio, specifically updating whatever. I think maybe I think we'll just do it like as one-off sort of things, because we just want to rely, we don't want a whole user to get passed up that could be, malicious or whatever. We want to rely on the authenticated user. So I'm going to copy this just for a minute. And let's just do, actually, let's call it update me. Maybe we can do this where we have like sort of some optional sort of strings, string bio. Let's try it this way, update me. So we get this, we return null if you're not logged in. Then we get the user. Okay, cool. Really, we don't care about the include in this case. I'm going to get rid of that. And if we can go like if user does not equal null, we can also return null here. And maybe the update me instead just returns a, no, I think we want to return the user. We might come back and change that, but okay, so if this user is null, okay, cool. Then what we want to do is we'll make something called updated user. It's going to be user.copyWith. And what we can do is we can go if bio, meaning this right here, bio, otherwise we use the built-in bio. Why is that so weird? Oh, it's because I did this wrong. If user equals null, return. There we go. And this is where we'd also do the same thing for links and for all the other things. But bio is the only one we have. And so here we have this. Actually, we can also just get the user info by, we can include, let's grab it. And we can do user.user info. There we go. That way, what we actually return, oh, okay. Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, then we actually have to do the update, right? So here we go await user.db.update row. And we essentially want to send this updated user up. I'm actually not going to worry about this right now. We won't worry about this either. We'll make the queries a little bit more quicker and optimized. So there we have that. Then essentially we could just return me after this. How can I do that though? I need to pass in actually session. So this is actually kind of, I don't know, kind of clever way, I guess. So rather than us recycling this code, we essentially will do the database operation and then rerun this because we want to just get the most up-to-date version. Although, does update row allow us to pass? No, it doesn't. That's the thing. Because I want to still have the, the user include and all this stuff here. So we're just going to basically, this is a little bit better, I think, than making the client call the me endpoint again. Okay, cool. And let's generate because we have a new thing. Update me. And then, oops, oh God, what did I just do? I opened up, what the hell? Okay, Dart, main, or what am I doing? Dart, bin, main.dart. Okay, restart our server. Okay, so now we need a way to actually update it. So we'll do this in the user service. I'm going to copy this, and we're just going to do update me. And user equals this. So for update me, we'll do something kind of similar where we have a string of a bio that we can optionally pass in. Then we can call user.update me, which is what we, I believe, called it over here. We did. So we have to do our little trick the restarting of the Dart analysis server. And in here, we're just going to basically pass in bio, which could be null, which then won't actually do the update on that field. This will get back a user, and everything is good. Okay, so that gives us back that. Then over here, if the updated bio is not null, we will just do our ref.read and get our user service provider dot update me, and we'll pass in bio equaling the updated bio. So we're going to await that. Now, yeah, I think we're going to do this in a sort of ugly way and then make it better in a minute, but I just need to keep my train of thought. So essentially now this will get us like an updated user back, right here. And we need to tell our, essentially our, I think it's our auth provider to essentially replace me or something like that. So let's make a future void. We could even actually use the let's just actually call it replace me. So my idea here is we have all the data we need from that endpoint to actually, without calling me again, we can work with that. So I'm thinking we actually make a user get passed in here. And then literally we can just go state equals auth state success, where we pass in the user and everything's good. So this could be potentially null, right? And I guess what I'm getting at is let's actually make our provider kind of deal with this logic. So let's have a future void. We'll just call it update bio. String. We'll call it bio. And what we would want to actually do is get our updated user here. Update user, this is this. And then we can do, actually we'll call this result like we've been doing everywhere else with FP Dart. And we can do a result.fold. And maybe we have an error. And I'm not sure we're going to do that error, but for now we're just going to print it. And maybe actually this is a thing that we return a Boolean of whether it worked or not, or maybe a string. And our string will actually be the error. So here we would actually return left on the result. Now that I think about it, this should be also, do we want to use an either in here? Are we doing that anywhere? I'm just trying to think of a way we can show our user an error in a nice way. I think we can do this with just a nullable string. So what we actually would return here is problem occurred. Like we could, get this error. Maybe that's actually the way to do it. We'll return the error. On write, it means we got a user, which could be null. So we should go if user equals null. We'll return, this is where we don't really have an error message, but we can just say a problem occurred. Otherwise, we'll just return null right here. So we're going to use null to kind of be like, everything went right. And updated bio, we have to use obviously bio there. So we're going to do that. Then if everything went right, this is where we would use our replace me and actually pass in this user right here so that, because we already have it, there's no need to make an API call. Okay, this function as future or string, where are we not returning something? What? Quick fix. Add return null. Oh, because I'm not actually, I need to return the result.fold. There we go. All right, all that to do something so that now we don't have to think about state in here. So we can actually go like this, and now we can go ref.read and use our auth provider instead, .notifier, and go update bio, and then pass in our updated bio. And then what we can be awaiting for here is actually what we'll just call the error. Error equals, and we'll await. Now this is a nullable string, obviously, and we can basically go if error equals null. Then in this case we do our we have like a toast utils.message, We have our context, and we'll actually just use the error right here. Or this should be if error does not equal null. I'm mixing that up all the time. And of course, because we're accessing context after here, we do want to wrap this in a if context.mounted. If for some reason we don't have access to context, we can't show it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, let's save everything and let's see if this actually works. The cool thing about this is it should just update. Yeah, this should work. This should work, guys. Okay, so let's go profile and edit profile and change our bio. And let's go with a bunch of exclamation marks, which is obviously what we want to test. And there, it's now updated here. Little to us even, noticing it. Let's refresh. I'll go back to our profile. It's right there. It's right there. So this is kind of cool because, I can change it here, right? And it's nice. And when I go back, it's already going to be good because we're relying on, everything that Serverpod offers to, keep all of our data in sync. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I guess in the next one, we will take care of actually adding in stuff to change your links and your pronouns, because those are new fields. And that will probably take a whole video, to be honest. And then we'll deal with the actual Serverpod built-in ones, like changing your full name and your username. We will, we'll leave it with that. I'm going to do one more little thing because I just realized why we have the word my name there. And it's because, full name can be null. Why don't we fall back to the user.userinfo.username and then fall back to my name, something like that. There should always be a username. There we go. So this is kind of cool because then if someone will actually, we'll be seeing their username, but if you, once this all works, if you change your full name, you get that proper display name that people like to use. So that works for me. I'm good. Okay, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.